Welcome back to the Stuff or Whatever podcast. Host B. Quanchi here. Before we get started, I always like to say the best way to support me and the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe, which you can do here on YouTube. You can follow on Twitter to catch all the fun tweets and updates, like when I stream. And also, I've been getting in the habit of retweeting stuff I like from fun accounts I follow and all that. So, just a little fun little bits of Twitter. And then also with streaming, I do stream gaming on Twitch, so check those out. Usually Thursdays and Fridays, and I do upload those VODs on the YouTube channel, so it's kind of full circle. Easy to find those links is B Quanchi all around. And so we got a very special podcast this week. But I did want to mention, I'm not sure how much is going to pick up on a microphone, because honestly, I do have a cheaper side in terms of the microphone. At least it's not my laptop microphone, but it's raining outside, and I know it's technically summer, but it is raining here in Arizona. Like, I don't talk too much where I'm at geographically, but Phoenix, Arizona. Not that anyone's really listening. And also, they've been doing work on the apartment above me since it's vacant, and they're trying to remodel stuff. So I think it's been dying down, but there might be some construction noises too. So just thought I'd mention that. I'm not sure how bad. I kind of tested for a little bit, but in terms of, what the microphone's capturing, but oh well. So I hope everyone's having a good day today. I'm having a good day as well. Because one of the reasons I'm having a good day is because I just picked up a 12-pack of Mountain Dew Baja Blast from the store when grocery shopping. I know this isn't sponsored. Like, if I was sponsored, I would definitely point that out. I'm just like a stupid American talking about brands and stuff. I'm not sure why how Mountain Dew figures this stuff out, because Baja Blast is their main Taco Bell exclusive flavor, but I see them from time to time, but it just kind of seems random. I'm not sure if it's seasonal or what, but they had Baja Blast. I had to grab it, so I got a 12-pack of the cans of the Baja Blast to enjoy, and mix with vodka, which I'm actually doing right now. I have myself a little drinky drink. And also another reason why I'm having a good day is the Steam Summer Sale, because I play a lot of games on Steam, and I wish list a lot of them too, and kind of follow them. And sometimes I can find a good deal on them throughout the year. But I'm not sure how they figure out the details and all that. But I did post it on my Twitter and even Instagram if you want to see what games I got. We got 8 games for $30, but a lot of indie stuff, so it's not like AAA titles or anything like that, or anything too crazy. I feel like that threshold, if it's 70 to 80% off, then okay, I'll pick it up. But I think I haven't played the game, but I know it's a big indie one. Celeste is one I got. I got Donut Country. I've been wanting to play One Finger Death Punch 2. I do have the first game that I actually did a stream on before on the channel, so I never played the sequel, so it's dirt cheap for some of these games. And I also got probably the most expensive one was the Devil May Cry HD collection, which I believe is just the first 3 games. So I don't know, I might stream those as well. So one thing I also wanted to talk about is, this is something a little disappointing, because again, I feel like it's almost like a running joke that I talk about products and stuff like that, whether it be food or drink or whatever. But I saw these, I can't remember if it was a commercial or an advertisement online about these sausage strips. So it's not really sausage, since it cut like bacon and all that, from Johnsonville. I want to try them. It's one of those things, it's weird to see advertising for products and then those products aren't really on the shelf much. But when the grocery stores had some things on sale, it's I don't usually go to the store, so I'll go to it and checked it out, and they actually do have it. I believe it's Johnsonville, but they have maple and regular sausage strips that are cut just like bacon. So even the package is a package of bacon. It's I'll try this. And it was a little disappointing. Also, I might give it that I tried cooking it with a little oil, because you can make it a little crispy. So I did that. I think I made it cook it a little bit longer, although it didn't taste burnt. Maybe it's very well done. But it's I don't know, maybe if I don't use oil or try it again, I can still have more of it. But I don't know, it just kind of feels weird, because it feels like if it was thicker, if it's more thicker and felt like sausage, that would have been better. Where to have the sausage roll, or patties or whatever, you get little sausage links of the sausage patties. but it didn't like bacon has a little bit more like fatty to it, so it's like, well, with this thin, I kind of rather have bacon than this, and if I had sausage, I'd rather have it cut a different way. And Johnsonville's a company that makes it, and I feel like I like some of the products as well, but I'd have to try more. But I was a little disappointed, so I don't know if I'm gonna with additional servings or cooking it better, might change my mind. But it sounded kind of cool. Like is it like a meme? Like is it sausage? Is it bacon? Kind of thing. But oh well. And another thing I wanted to talk about, I feel like the podcast, not last one, the one before, I talked about cringy stuff, and work cringe is like, I don't know, basic cringe at the workplace is I find the most cringy for me, and I talked about like when they try to be like funny or cheerful at work, and it's like, okay, obviously you have to like, tone down the humor, and it gets like, basically like using memes tailored for like work related stuff. I always find that super cringy. But also, like, if they have spirit days or whatever, I don't know if that's a right word for it. It kind of reminds me back in high school, like, wear this day, wear this that day, and they have like stuff to kind of like, I don't know, it didn't like liven things up or whatever. But some of the things like, oh, wear crazy socks or wear a certain color shirt or dress like the '80s, even though like why. Like who has clothes that are kind of outdated and stuff like that, or wear a crazy hat. I just mentioned that because like the funny thing about that is, at least the place I'm currently work at is like no one participates, and it's like almost kind of funny. Just like, oh, it's this day, and like, but I don't think maybe the only exception is like Halloween, because Halloween is like the big holiday in terms of like dressing up, even if it's a little this or that or a little accessory. But I feel like even Halloween, people get more bored. But it feels fun. Like, I'm glad I didn't wear a crazy hat or anything like that, because that would be like embarrassing. But I don't know why work really like does that. Like, it kind of like, I don't know if it tries to like cater to like the younger employees or stuff like that, if they even care. Is that still a thing in high school? Like, do you see how spirit days like for homecoming week or whatever, where like, oh, wear school colors, or again like crazy socks or mismatched shoes or whatever. But yeah, this kind of some random thing I thought of too. And another thing that's work related, and a little tangent I want to get on, is that with just a little background in terms of like my age and stuff. I'm considered a millennial, but geriatric millennial, so kind of older side. So I'm like old, crusty, like I should get a walker with like tennis balls at the bottom of it. But what I would do is paint them to be like Pokeballs, just to have that nerdy flair. But basically, geriatric millennial, and like the new generation, like Generation Z or Zoomer or Zoomers. But see this a lot with like coworkers like quitting, and I don't want to say like being lazy, but it's kind of a funny story. Well, maybe not too funny, but basically it's part of my job. Like, overtime may be called, it may be mandatory. And I actually had a coworker quit because of that. And it's like I don't like chit chat or know my coworkers too well. I just kind of heard it from my other manager and all that. But basically, I'm not sure if he had to like watch his little sister or his little babysit for his little sister. I don't know, because this guy was an adult. So I'm like, if it's his little sister, like how old is the kid? Like, but basically, he had to quit because of that. And the main thing about that, like with a job, like you can have absences and have time to cover it, but he used up all his time that it couldn't cover that. And it's, I don't know, it sounds strict when I say it out loud, but I have no problems with it. I have like plenty, like I could honestly take 2 weeks off and not have any issues. Or they have like different buckets, like this is unpaid, this is like your vacation, stuff like that. So there's like certain rules with it, not to get too into it. Like, but there's a way to cover like if you get sick or need to take days off or whatever. But I feel like a lot of like my younger employees like abuse that a lot. Like a lot of times they will leave early or take days off and stuff. I even have like coworkers like, oh, I don't think I'm just gonna come into work anymore. Like I quit, kind of thing. This kind of, again, not really saying being lazy, but I don't. I said before in the podcast too, like I have like a work ethic. I'm not like the hardest working person in terms of like, oh, he's crazy workaholic guy, but I like to think I have a pretty decent above average like work ethic. Because the thing with that, like things that always freak me out is like, if you lose your job, then boom, your income's gone. at least your main income, and especially like employment history. I'm not sure if employment history has been as big of a thing before or nowadays, because I think before, like really old fashioned, like just go out there, you can get a job, and then it kind of came to like, oh, you have to have 3 to 5 years experience and a degree to get an entry level job. So, and I think now it's like, okay, we'll hire anybody, because I'm not sure if it's as bad as like during the pandemic when we had like staff shortages and worker shortages, especially like in the food industry or service industry. So I feel like sometimes like you can get hired very easily. Maybe it depends on the job as well, but yeah, I just think that's like crazy. Like, hey, like if I'm going to quit a job, I have to have something like lined up right away, unless the YouTube, Twitch thing catches on, and I can quit my job for that. But I like no. Plus, I got like health benefits and stuff like that. So, but I find that crazy. I'm not sure if it's just like a lot of these Zoomers or Generation Z people like still live with their parents. Cause I think maybe that was the case. Like if he still lived with his mom, or again, I know my coworkers. Again, I'm not sure if it was his little sister or for his little sister. But it's like even that. Then I'll be like, hey, I'm not going to quit my jobs to watch your child. Like you gave birth to that. So, and I don't know. Maybe it's just like whatever with the family going on. But that'd be kind of nice to be able to like not worry about like, oh, I can just quit my job because, eh. But like I said, like a lot of it had to do with like abusing time off. At least maybe I don't know. Maybe things do really happen, but I see that a lot. Like not like talking to every coworker and all that, but it feels like I see that a lot where people just use the time off like very liberally, or like very like, okay, I'll use 2 hours today. I'll use 2 hours this day and stuff like that. But then it adds up and bites them in the ass, because it's like it's not like too bad as bad as I make it when he says, "Oh, you can get fired over that," because it basically he can either quit or get fired due to his attendance issues and all that. But yeah, that's just my little blurb about that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is that show on HBO Max, Close Enough. I really love the show. I really love Regular Show because it's the same creator, J.G. Quintel. So as the main voice of the character on the show, like he did for Mordecai for Regular Show. So I really love it. I've been kind of sleeping on it because I know I double checked, and season 3 came out in April, and I'm just getting around watching it, and yeah, I really like it a lot. And I think it's actually better than Regular Show. And I think maybe because it compares to adult humor more, so I think the creator can get more of the humor that he would want versus Regular Show that actually was on Cartoon Network. But I felt like that also had a lot of relatable humor and stuff like that. Like, I think that's what makes a good cartoon show. Like, even if it's on a quote unquote kids network like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, like they have like general jokes, like relatability. And even with like that show, like the characters are pretty much adults, like working, even though it's at a park and then all this crazy stuff happens. But I really like Close Enough because I feel like a lot of like the storylines and plots kind of focus on adult characters for the most part. It's doesn't get as wacky like how Regular Show can be, but there's still a lot of craziness to it. So I definitely really recommend it. Like if you really love Regular Show, definitely check it out. I know I have that interesting, like I think it was meant for TBS, but I'm not sure if it was because of the pandemic or some issues with it, but eventually got moved to HBO Max. But then I think let me check that real quick because I thought I remember seeing it being aired on TV. Okay, yeah, it did get aired on TBS in October 2021. And I don't get that channel anymore. I said it before in the podcast, like I got rid of TV. So I thought that was a funny thing that they did eventually aired it back on TBS. But yeah, I really love the show. And I did want to mention, because I'm getting caught up in this current season, I really love the episode they had with one of the characters called Randy Watson, that he's actually gay. And I think that's really cool. Like, not just because it was back in April, so it's not like for Pride Month. But I think that's really cool just because I feel like the representation is like more, I don't know, like not like trying hard. Like he's not like a gay character or anything like that. In terms of like mannerisms, like I was kind of surprised by it. Like I thought the episode would be like this guy thought that he's asking him out, and then he realized, oh, I didn't, like some miscommunication and stuff like that. So I think it played very well. But I think they really obvious, like, okay, yeah, he did mention like wanting to have a boyfriend and things like that. But it's a really good episode. Randy Free Solos is the name of the episode, and season 3. And yeah, I think it's really good. And yeah, I definitely recommend the show Close Enough. So next part of the podcast I want to talk about is a website called Bear411, which is kind of like a dating website or hookup site or whatever, more focused towards like gays. So I'm not sure if this is going to be more interesting overall. I think I just kind of like wanting to rant about and go over because I just want to kind of talk about these apps as well. And maybe it is kind of interesting to see because I feel like this website has been around for a long time, like before smartphones. Maybe not like before smartphones, but definitely like before apps seem to be like normal. Like, I don't use it, but like Grindr is like a good example. I'm not sure if Tinder is similar, like the straight version of that. But I just want to talk about how it's bad and I don't know. It's like some things like not to do when you have like a website like that. Because I know a lot of these apps and stuff like that, even though you can get a free account, you can get money by getting extra perks and this and that. I feel like this is commonly known when it talks about like the gay community and what a bear is, but this website is focused on its members being bear guys, and bear usually means like more of a hairier guy, kind of a stockier type, and all that. And basically, you can like chat with guys online for like dating, for sex, for friendship, whatever. Like when you log in, you can go through pages like guys in the same city, like because you put in your profile like what city you're in, what city and state, and kind of like find these guys. You can chat them up, all that. And eventually, they kind of caught on. Like I think now, because it hasn't been like too long that I haven't been using the site, but you can kind of incorporate like GPS. You can kind of see like guys nearby, like at least like Grindr, like other apps, like you can see like who's on the grid, who's close by, and all that. And this is like pages we can like general like across the country or even in different countries too. So there's kind of like a aspect of that. It kind of like felt back in the day like it was a good way to meet members of the community, for lack of a better word. And the mobile website, it's kind of like updated as well. And one thing I liked about it a long time ago is that it used to require you to have a main pic of your face, but that got rid of that. And I feel like that's one of my biggest annoyance with that. I can get on a whole like soapbox for that when it comes to apps. Like I hate profiles that don't upload a picture or anything like that. It used to require a face, but now they don't. I believe you still have to do a pic, but it can be like your chest or it can be other body parts as well. Because one thing I felt like the website boasts about is that you can use X-rated pictures in your profile and stuff like that. It's a big deal with apps because I think that like with apps, like it affects how they can be listed in stores or rated. So that's why you may notice with apps like, hey, don't show your dick or like no nudity or anything like that when it comes to like public stuff. Like either if it's your public profile pic or your public albums or whatever. Of course, like you can send them privately. I think that's a lot to deal with in like getting dick pics and stuff like that. But you know, so a lot of those apps, like, hey, they can't show you dick in like a profile. Like if someone logged in, they can't see it unless it's something that you sent them privately or in a message. So the Bear411 website never made an app or a companion app or anything like that. It was like, hey, you can use the mobile version of the website because everyone uses smartphones these days, but it's like, oh yeah, you can be nude or whatever. And if you want to make a picture of yourself or show that off, that's up to you. That's your prerogative, no judgment. And one thing I remember hearing that was not too great in my opinion, like it used to be in forums back in the day, like gay forums as well. And I'm hearing things like the owner of the website or whatever who runs it would have a habit or a reputation of denying guys from getting an account because they're not bare enough. So if they're like maybe certain ethnicities or hairless or twinkie or whatever. So it got to the point like there's that like vetting that seems kind of gross. And I guess the appeal, you're like, hey, this is the bear side, so you want the bears to go there. And I don't know, it just kind of feels kind of weird. That's one thing I don't know if people really talk about it that much because you always hear about like LGBTQA whatever applies, like, oh, there's so much inclusivity and all that, but there's a lot of like divide and discrimination, for lack of a better word. Like you see that a lot whether it be age or race or body type. They see that a lot. But yeah, I remember hearing that reputation as well. And with the Spare 411 website, the accounts are free, but there's a way to get like a paid VIP membership. And I get it, like you got to make money somehow. So I want to get in that, and this is where I feel like the site gets a little bit more awful. But the perks of having a VIP is that you get to see more pages, more guys online. You get to see more gallery pics, and also be able to log into like VIP days or time. And with that, like if you like on the website, when you like, I see with the apps too, like when you scroll to the grid and kind of gets to end, like, hey, if you pay, you can see more guys. So that makes sense too. And with like profiles, this one thing I kind of liked about the site is that gallery can upload a lot of pictures as well. Like it could be pictures of yourself, like good to be like Instagrammy or X-rated or sexy, whatever. Again, no judgment. But you can add like a lot of pics to kind of show yourself or show yourself off. But it was kind of annoying about it because when you like click through the pictures, like they like tiny thumbnails, and if you click on them, they'll show a bigger version of it. But it'll be like limited, like maybe see 2, 3, 4 of them, and it's like, hey, you have to be a VIP member to see more of these pictures, at least in full size. So that got kind of annoying. But I also felt like very inconsistent as well, because I feel like some profiles you can see like 3, 4, maybe even 5 pictures in full size. But then some profiles, it's like you can't even see the second one. You can only see the main profile pic. And I kind of noticed like these profiles tend to have guys who may be considered a lot more hotter, a lot more showing the skin, whether it be nudity or just like a really attractive buff guy, bear guy, whatever you want to call it. So I kind of feel like the hotter profiles, like you can't see the second pic, like, oh, you got to pay to see this. And that just felt kind of gross as well. Annoying and gross, like, I don't know, maybe that's just me overthinking it, but it can't be too hard to like say, hey, these profiles that get more that receive more messages or get more views or whatever, that'd be a hot profile and kind of limit to what the pictures can be seen publicly, at least in full size. So I kind of felt that was kind of on the borderline of gross and annoying, especially like, hey, if you pay, you can see this kind of thing, especially when it's like member uploaded content as well. And another thing I want to get back to is like they've had days like you can't log in unless you're a VIP member. Like when you log in, you'll get this page like, hey, due to traffic and whatever, it's reserved for VIP only. And that gets kind of annoying. I feel like they did like a certain number of days. It's not like every Friday or every Saturday, so it wasn't like that bad. Like certain days are blacked out, but it just got like annoying. And then thinking like, as a paying member, like that's what I want, paying more money to speak to less guys online. Yeah, it just felt like annoying. And I get, again, concerns with cost, bandwidth, whatever, but it just kind of feel like limiting access to your site to a small fraction of it just seems kind of a dumb than anything else. So one of the big things about the site that I kind of had a problem with is that it kind of felt like this had this weird censorship with it, like it wouldn't allow certain things to be said in the messaging or in your profile. I feel like I tried this a couple times, like dropping like my Twitter, my Instagram handle in my profile, and then I noticed like, hey, it's not there when I upload it. And it's not like a clear thing like, hey, you can't put this, you can't put that. It's just like, did not update the profile, like, because you can have like your text of the information like about me, whatever you want to put. It's pretty much like whatever you want to put in, but I feel like they put in certain keywords, like if you say Instagram or Twitter, social media, it's like, nope, we won't update the profile, or we won't send this message. And that's another thing I wanted to get into as well with the messaging. And I get, like, if you don't want competition, like, talk about other sites you use instead of this one. But it's just kind of like, especially when it's unclear and then you realize, oh, it didn't update it because I had the word Twitter or I had the word Instagram in my message or text or whatever. Kind of the last thing is the messaging, because it feels very archaic now, because it's not really like a message thread. It's just kind of like a pop-up whenever you get a new message, and then when you send the message, it's kind of like these messages are constantly deleting themselves, so you can see the most current ones, but you can't really have like a full transcript of the messages and all that. I mentioned this with like the censorship, because like if you have like maybe a word that is a no-no word, again, I guess like censoring like racism and stuff like that is very understandable. Although I've been called a not so great word in terms of derogatory and all that. So I'm not sure how it works, but that was kind of an old message as well. But I remember like talking to somebody and Cinnamon Bar Nights. I think it's more of a thing because I've seen like in other cities as well. But there'd be like a bear night called Barracuda, where they have like a DJ. It has a like a cover charge as well for the bar and all that. So kind of a more of a bigger night to go out. But I think because I said the word Barracuda in the message, like they never got that, and it took us a little while to realize, oh, you didn't get that message. And I'm not sure if it was like text or messenger, like on Facebook or stuff like that. We were like, oh, I was talking to Barracuda or something like that, and kind of clicked. So I think that's kind of like not just gross, but also like a big inconvenience because it can cause a big misunderstanding. Like, oh, did you just like ignore my messages or delete my messages? But they're like not received because you have like it's in your word. So yeah, an awful sight. And I haven't logged in for quite a while, but I think like the last like icing on the cake is what is icing in a cherry on top. Is that like I got an email from them saying, "Oh, you haven't logged in for a while," and they have my login and my password in the email. Like, don't fucking email me my password. I know my password. I haven't logging in. I don't know. That just feels. I never seen any website do that. Like, hey, you haven't logged in. Here's your password. Like, if I really had issues with my password, I'll use the forgot password thing. Like, I don't want my actual password listed in an email sent to me. Like that. Like fucking like pisses me off too. And I guess the last I seen like this was like even months ago. Like, you know what? I might just give it another chance just to see, because honestly, I made friends before, had like good times as well. Like, oh, I'll just log in and all of a sudden I get the pop up message, like, oh, VIP access only. Like, okay, great, thanks for confirming that. So, yeah, just my little blurb about Bearthorn One. Again, I'm not sure if this is interesting, maybe to a certain amount of people. I'm kind of curious because I'm going to probably put this in the subject of the podcast title just to see how people respond. All that. Maybe it's just interesting, like, hey, don't do this. Sounds like don't limit certain words. Like, I've seen other apps like embrace social media, like even like, hey, put your Twitter handle, or hey, put your Instagram handle, whatever. So I think like encourage social media. Like, don't say like, again, you want people to keep using it, pay for premium, whatever, but like, don't be like a big dick about it. Okay, for the last part of the podcast, I wanted to bring back the whatever report again. So talking about some weird news, do a quick rundown of crazy stories and stuff that I found online. So the first one is about meth being found in the fast food order. And this actually took place in Oklahoma. A man was arrested. It was apparently a Carl's Jr. location, and they put a small bag of meth inside. I'm not sure why. Because the customer like was surprised and informed the police and all that. So it's not like, oh, they're like drug dealing and stuff like that. Maybe they were, and it was like a misunderstanding, like you put it in the wrong bag. But yeah, it just kind of crazy. And then they said because like issues to like different charges. Like I didn't realize this thing, but like distributing controlled substance within 2,000 feet of a school in possession. So it's like got charged on multiple things because of that. And I kind of feel like maybe it was he was trying to deal drugs and put it in the wrong bag and screwed him over. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Okay, and this is kind of a weird, crazy story as well. I didn't really read the ending of it, but basically, groom has to frantically reorder his wife's dress. That's like $2,300 because you find out what happened. It calls him frantically, like basically what turns out is that they really need a new dress because the old dress is not accessible. Because what happened is that the dress was given to the mother of I think the mother of the groom, like given to his mother to keep in a safe spot. And unfortunately what happened is that the grandmother died. And the thing with the grandparents, like the grandfather who was passed away before, was buried in his tuxedo. So they were going to bury grandma in her wedding dress. But this is where it happened, is that the mother accidentally gave the wedding dress of the new bride, like the grandson's bride, and all that. So Basically, just because it's buried with grandma, they need to order a new wedding dress. Let me see if I can find anything that would happen. Okay, so I didn't see like anything really concrete, like if the bridal where they got the dress like did something for them to kind of make up for the story. It's like I guess it went viral on TikTok or something like that. Someone mentioned like maybe the bride should get married in the grandmother's dress, but I don't know, that's kind of like funny, like crazy kind of mix up. It almost feels like a little something that would happen in the sitcom. Okay, for this next story, this is like, why does this exist? But I guess KFC is introducing finger sporks. It's just like a little spork that you can put on your finger and eat. It looks like it's more meant for, of course, meant for sides versus chicken, but like when you get sides and all that. But yeah, I guess it seems like it's limited time. I can look up a video on YouTube. I guess you get like an old style infomercial commercial for it. Was it until July 12th? Like if you get the side lovers meal, you get the free sporks while supplies last. It just seems impractical. Like why would you want to eat with this and stuff like that? Just use a regular spork. But maybe the commercial's fine. I haven't watched the commercial myself or the YouTube video, so I think they inject some humor in that. But yeah, just another in the news story. Okay, and this last story is kind of crazy, but kind of good knowledge to have. But basically, a driver intentionally gets pulled over because he's being kidnapped. This happened in Florida, of all states. And basically, like the guy was like speeding, he was changing lanes and swerving, and all that. So they were pulled over and all that. See, like a standard stop, and after a while, they were told the men were good to go. The driver was like a little resistant, and then he kind of made like a gesture, like a firing gun. The cops saw, so they eventually like, oh wait, something's going on, and then they kind of like called the driver back, like saying, hey, I'm being kidnapped by my will to drive, and all that. And then the cops like found the guns hidden in the car and arrested the passengers and stuff like that. So kind of crazy thing. I'm not sure if like how the passengers knew like if he was up to something like. And that's also like one of those crazy things. Like usually when kidnap, usually you're not the driver, but it could be one of those situations like all that. Yeah. So basically, like a person who was in trouble who had to drive the vehicle or swerving, acting like that, just so the cops would get involved. So crazy story, but maybe that's good to know and all that. So that would do it for this podcast, and hopefully it was a decent one. I'm listening now. I think all the noise is good. I'm not sure how much picked up on the microphone. I think the most was my dog shaking his collar, but oh well. So anyway, again, the best way to support me in the channel is to like, comment, and subscribe, whether it be on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, Speak Paunchy. All those links are in the description of videos, about on the channel, all that. Let me know like if this was interesting to hear about and all that. But that's my ideas of what kind of what I want to do down the road. If anything, AdSense, that's I only have that for the YouTube channel. That's getting a little bit better in terms of numbers and all that. But yeah, that'll do it. So about to stream and all that. So you all take care and have a good day. Bye.